We are back in the saddle, back in Cambridge, England. Lovely, lovely Cambridge for NXT UK episode 2. And if you listened to last week's podcast, then you will have known that me and Travis, we both love the setting at the Cambridge Corn Exchange. It's just so rustic, it's vibrant in a really old gothic-y way. And if I had my way, it would be set in Cambridge every week, not just because it's close to where I live, which would be handy, let's be honest, but because I think NXT UK needs a proper home. And I'm going to keep saying that, and I'm going to keep that belief until they find one. NXT has Full Sail in Florida. I think NXT UK would benefit from a proper home instead of touring. But luckily, we're going to have Cambridge on our screens for the next few weeks. There was a lot taped over the first 2 nights, so let's get to it. NXT UK episode 2. We kicked off with Ligero, formerly El Ligero, WWE copyrighted and trademarked that name, versus the Wild Boar Mike Hitchman. Now, if you're not familiar with either of these men, then look up Ligero online. Phenomenal talent. Great wrestler. He's had some cracking matches as well all over the world. This match against Mike Hitchman, it was actually the dark match of the second night of the second UK Championship tournament. We could only see that on YouTube. It was not broadcast on the network. It was not broadcast as part of the 2-night extravaganza. So do go back and look at that, because that was a good match. But this is better. For those who don't know Mike Hitchman, he is the current partner of Flash Morgan Webster in Progress. I don't know quite how that works. I've not seen the pair together yet. And Ligero, many people are going to say he's going to be the British version of Rey Mysterio. That's fine. But he's going to be a star in NXT UK. It's going to take him a while to get there because of the Bates, the Dunns, the Birches, the Gibsons. You know, Zach Gibson is front and centre of that pecking order. So Ligero will be a star, but it's going to take him a while to get there. Mike Hitchman. Now, for anyone who watched this match, I'd never seen him before. I can only imagine what you thought. He came out in his Mad Max, boar-like mask. He's got a weird look. He's a small, chubby-ish man with long hair and eyes like a fucking orc from Lord of the Rings. That's all I can describe. That's just pitch black eyes. And he looks like... It's hard to describe him for anyone who's not seen him. There'll be a picture up on screen of him now, so you can see him, but he looks like his face is moulded into the mask. He's got that orc-like sneer, if you like, on his actual face. To be honest, he's better with the mask on, but this was still a really good match between two men who obviously went out to impress. Mike Hitchman isn't going anywhere in NXT UK, sadly. You just have to look at him to know that. He's the Skinner, the Alex Wright, the Glacier, the Wrath. Whatever mid-card enhancement talent you prefer to bring up, that's Mike Hitchman. Sadly, because he's got a good... I'm not going to say a good build, that's going too far, but he's got a good moveset. And if he was pushed right, yeah, maybe could be something, but you just get the overwhelming feeling from him that they're not going to use him. Still a very good match. Tilt-a-whirl into a body press by Ligero looked great. And, of course, Ligero won this with a springboard DDT. I just don't know where Ligero's going to go in the immediate future. I mean, I'd like to see him take on Pete Dunne for the title at some point. But I don't see Ligero as a natural replacement for Pete. I don't even see him as a natural successor to Zach Gibson. I think he's going to need a lot more work, a lot more character. He's going to need a bigger story to succeed in NXT UK. Sometimes the wrestling works for a person and gets them over and nothing more is needed. But I think with Ligero, something deeper is required, you know? Just something more to make us connect with him on a deeper level. And until that happens, I don't see Ligero getting past mid-card. Maybe upper mid-card. Because I'm pretty sure his reputation will carry him, but it won't carry him to the top. Next up, we had Dakota Kai versus Killer Kelly. And for me, Killer Kelly has just not been booked right since signing with NXT UK. I know a lot of people will have seen her wrestle for WXW in Germany, where she's just a phenomenon. But here, she's not quite made it yet. The booking team haven't really got behind her. There's not a lot there that they've utilised. And she's lost almost every match she's had for NXT UK thus far. I'm hoping they use her properly. I really do, because she's a great talent. But, like I say, it's not worked for her yet. It wouldn't work for her in this match against Dakota Kai either. Because even though it was a good fight, it was a fast-paced match, I feel like Dakota Kai, in the minds of the mainstream British audience, is a bigger star than Killer Kelly. That isn't actually true. I would say Kelly is the bigger star, but because Dakota Kai has had appearances on NXT television, blah de blah, then she's treated as the biggest star. The luminary, if you like, the celebrity. She got a good ovation, Dakota Kai, and she's a good worker. She's that sort of gritty underdog that you want to get behind. She sells really well. When she's in trouble, she really looks like she is in peril. She reminds me of a Randy Savage or an early Shawn Michaels, where they just sell. You know, they just sell like their life depended on it. And that's what she does. She's the babyface underdog you want to believe. Maybe the female Daniel Bryan, if that's not going too far. Dakota Kai won this with a somersault backstabber. Really good ending. Lovely move. And it looked really nice as well. So if you haven't checked this episode out yet, check it out. Good match. Kai ended the match with a post-match interview with a bloke from Blue Peter who is as annoying as fuck. I don't know his name. And for anyone who doesn't know Blue Peter, it's like it's a magazine show in Britain for children. It's had many presenters over the years. They just come and go. And somehow he got the job of interviewer, even though for me he doesn't really know anything about wrestling. Kai sucks up a bit in the interview. She mentions the NXT UK Women's title. She wants it. It basically sets up her participation in the upcoming tournament, which we're going to see before Christmas. I'm assuming in the next few weeks. Eddie Dennis promo came next. Travis has talked about Eddie Dennis a lot over the past few weeks, so I won't go into him that much. The promo was another good one. You know, the vignette chronicling his life and his accomplishments. Him venturing from wrestling into teaching to being a headmaster of a school. And he sort of ends it by saying it's his time. And it builds Eddie Dennis up really well. It builds him as this blue-collar working guy who we can relate to, who we can get behind, who just wanted to make something more of his life. And so he laced up a pair of boots. If you've not seen Eddie Dennis, look up on YouTube a match he had with Cassius Ohno. Amazing. It's just an amazing match. It's not going to be your favourite if you like a lot of selling and a lot of that sort of stuff, because it's quite fast paced with little selling in it, but it's still an amazing match and shows what Eddie Dennis can do. We will see him in the next few weeks on NXT UK. Next up was another promo, and this was from Liverpool's favourite son, Zach Gibson. And I don't think I've liked a heel, apart from Pete Dunne, obviously, everyone knows my infatuation with that wonderful man. But I don't think I've really loved a heel in the sense that I'd probably be okay with him taking the title from Pete Dunne at some point, like I have Zack Gibson. You know, he's got the look. He's from Liverpool, which for a UK audience from anywhere else other than Liverpool, it's brilliant because the heel heat he gets, just because he's from Liverpool, is astounding. There were huge boos for him at the beginning of this. Huge and constant. They went on, and they went on, and they went on. And this is where NXT UK missed a trick for me. Because the promo they sent him out to do was about, Noam Dar. It was about, on his best day, he could beat Pete Dunne, which, he's failed twice, but fair enough. I felt like NXT UK booking should have played this differently. I feel like they should have had him do a Roman Reigns the night after he beat The Undertaker. Just go out, stand in the ring, let the crowd pour the hatred onto you, do their little chants, take their shoes off, sing whatever song they want to, and then just, when they're bored, which admittedly could have taken 10-15 minutes, but it's pre-recorded. WWE could have cut it out if needed to, or cut it down at least. And then just picked up the mic and just said a few words that really pissed people off, that really annoyed people. And then Noam Dar could have come out to defend the people, if you like. Just something like that to set up the match on episode 3 between them. I just felt like you've got this wonderful heel. You don't need him to talk all the time. He's a good talker, don't get me wrong. The accent really grates on people, but not everyone needs a microphone in their hand. Not everyone needs to talk forevermore. And I think Zack Gibson is one of those people who would benefit from talking less. I would have just liked to see him soak up the heel heat and just rile that audience more just by saying something cocky. Doing one of them cunt smiles, you know when people get their own way, or a smarmy fuck who just looks at you and just, crooks the corner of his mouth and walks away. Just one of them people. That would have been much, much better for me. But good promo, nonetheless. Next down the card, we got Ashton Smith versus Tucker. For those of you who didn't see the second annual UK Championship tournament, this was one of the qualifying matches that took Ashton Smith to the Royal Albert Hall. Now, on the Union Smack special we did, covering the 2 nights, I don't remember if we got this because we lost a lot of that material. Ashton Smith in the UK tournament looked generic. He looked generic all the way through qualifying. He looked generic on the night. He had a few good moments, a few pops here and there. And I believe if we got it, I said something along the lines of he's going to need something more to make him stand out. Because he really did look like a curtain jerker. An enhancement talent to put everyone and anyone else over. But now, I'm going to say I'm pleasantly surprised. And something that you won't hear me say often, which is, I'm wrong. Ashton Smith came out on episode 2 of NXT UK. He looked better. He had actual music, proper gear, made him look like a star. And it completely reversed my opinion of him. And I'm glad they did it, because Ashton Smith, he still looks a little lost now and again in the ring, okay? He looks like he needs a bit of guidance, so maybe 6 months, make him work with the Coffees, make him work with Mark Andrews, make him work with anyone who knows their way around the ring, who can just brush him up a little bit, and he'll be great. But right now, in this match against Tucker, which it was mostly a throwaway match, Smith won with the Ash Cloud Ripcord DDT. In this match, he looked like a star, and it's a step forward for him. He's got to stand out, let's not forget, against the Wolfgang, against the Coffey Brothers, against Pete Dunne, Zach Gibson, Noam Dar, Danny Burch, all these wrestlers who are better than Ashton Smith, who are bigger than Ashton Smith. He needs to stand out, and I believe he's going to get there. Looked so much better. After this, NXT UK gave us I'm going to say the much awaited, but that's just because I'm high on the guy, Danny Burch promo. We get some backstory on Danny Burch. We see his time on the Indies, his participation in the first UK Championship tournament, and then we get told that he's eyeing the UK Championship, which is just phenomenal news. And then he said something that really sent a chill down my spine. Yeah, he looked at the camera and he said, "London, I'm one of your own." And that really got me. It was just like, this is another hard-working, blue-collar guy who we can get behind and love. And obviously we know Danny Burch from NXT anyway. And you've heard me sing his praises no end in past episodes. He passed himself off in this vignette, maybe for the first time, as a legitimate contender to anyone's throne. You know, if they'd have aired this on Raw with Danny Burch saying he was going to Crown Jewel to beat Lesnar and Strowman for the Universal Championship, I'd have believed it. I would have believed every word he said. Because that is how well this was put together. And how serious a wrestler Danny Burch is. So I cannot wait for the match between him and Pete Dunne. It is coming. It was recorded over the first 2 nights. We are getting it next week, and I could not be more excited. And that brings us to the main event of episode 2 of NXT UK, which saw Tyler Bate versus Wolfgang. Who's afraid of the big bad wolf? Well, it wasn't Tyler Bate, because this, and I'm going to find myself saying this a lot over this episode, this was another repeat of a tournament match, only this tournament match was from the first inaugural UK Championship tournament. Tyler Bate beat Wolfgang to advance to the finals. I feel like Wolfgang started as something you could back and he's cooled off. You know, one of them people who you just lose interest in after a while. There was barely anything from him here from the crowd in Cambridge, and it feels like he's lessened as a character and he's not as important anymore. That, of course, isn't surprising when you consider the other names he's got to compete against. I just think he and WWE could have done a better job of keeping him in the spotlight. And of course, if you watched episode 4, which aired straight after episode 3, to my surprise, which is coming next week for you, then he will turn heel. But even then, it's like, do I care? Do I care about Wolfgang anymore, heel or face? Not really. And that's nothing to do with his ability in the ring, because he's a very good wrestler. It's just, I've got other priorities in wrestling right now. And Wolfgang isn't one of them. There was a decent reception for Tyler Bate. I still feel like he's holding something back. At the beginning when he came out, it was a tiny bit muted, the reception for him. It got louder as he rolled into the ring and did his towel flick thing. The fans warmed more to Tyler Bate as the match went on. They got solidly behind him. Wolfgang played the heel in this, which was forbearing for what came the week after this. Crowd were amazing in parts of this match. During the test of strength, they made Tyler Bate look like a star when he overpowered Wolfgang. That was a wonderful moment. I felt a tiny bit distracted by Wolfgang's attire. I felt it was very Rick and Morty-esque. I know it was Scottish tartan. I just felt it was very cartoony. Tyler Bate Eris plain spin looked great. It was a really good back and forth match. It was just slightly tainted by a botched spear by Wolfgang, which didn't look good. And Tyler Bate won with the Tyler Driver 97. It was an anticlimax for me, I have to say. If it had been given more minutes, it would have made the whole match stronger. I just felt like taking Wolfgang off the top rope wasn't enough for Tyler Bate to pin him afterwards. I felt it would have probably took more. But what can you do? You know, they're still finding their feet. They're still working this stuff out. I'm still not happy with Tyler Bate as a character. I know people might give me a lot of hate for this. That's fine. I just feel like there's something missing from him. We touched on it last week. He's an awesome wrestler. He's got the majority of the crowd support. He's got the look. There's just something missing. It's not the underdog thing, because again, he's got that. He could take 20 minutes of punishment and it wouldn't get boring because you'd still cheer for him to come back. I just don't know what it is with Tyler Bate. I just can't put my finger on it. It's one of those intangible things that you can't say it's this definitively. But there is something missing. And I think if he's going to be a mainstream star in the vein of Pete Dunne again, like he was when he won the tournament in Blackpool, I think he needs to rediscover that. He needs to dig deep. He needs to find it, because it's just not connecting with me enough that Tyler Bate's going to be a massive star. I'm sure people know what I'm saying. I'm not going to overanalyze it too much. I just want him to come out with that extra factor. And Tyler, if you can find that, then you've got it made, son. It was a good episode of NXT UK. Strong main event. Some good promos throughout. Ashton Smith looked like a star, like I said. So, that was episode 2. I'm going to take another short break, leave you in the capable hands of our good friends over at Red Leaf Retrocast. And when I come back, NXT UK episode 3. That 3 in French, in case people don't know French.
Hey Colin, did you get the cardboard cutout of Consul Kev?
Did I ever? It's amazing.
Oh, I think so too. I hate that guy. Kevin, what are you doing here?
Just eavesdropping on all the, the bad things you say about me. My usual Wednesday.
Oh, well, did you at least prepare for the Retro Gaming Podcast?
Absolutely not.
Oh, God, that figures. Alright, it's okay. I'll take it from here. Basically, we pick a theme every time, and we pick a number of games based on that theme. Just like our first episode where it lasted forever and we talked about space games.
Yeah, and other good, all the mainstream systems and games you love, like the 3DO, the Atari Jaguar.
Oh, come on. Colin, you back me up here. The 3DO is awesome, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought we were friends. I mean, it's cool. Alright.
If you want to hear 3 guys talk about games that are bad because JD picked them all, and good games that Kevin picked, join us.
Who here wants to see a bunch of nerds talking video games with a little bit of anime thrown in there? Nobody? Just me? Damn!
Well, speaking of anime, Colin, we have an anime cast as well.
Yes, we do. All retro anime. Many of which I have never heard of myself. And I'm a weeb!
Very similar premise there. We pick a retro anime, at least 15 years or older, and we review it every episode. We also keep up on all the modern stuff, all the seasonal things from the year. Hey, Kevin, you just got back into wrestling, right?
I did.
Oh my god, did you know we also have a wrestling cast that just started?
I do now, because nobody tells me anything.
Ah, well, what do you think of the big dog these days?
He still sucks.
Well, that's good. Well, luckily, we just don't complain about WWE stuff. We also talk about a lot of the latest and greatest from the rising indie scene, New Japan, and Ring of Honor.
I like rings and honor.
Oh, well, you should definitely listen to the Red Leaf Retrocast. We have such a wide range of topics, ideas to discuss, and just anything to review. It's fantastic, don't you guys think so?
It's alright!
Absolutely. And thanks again.
Welcome back to the final part of this episode, where we take a look at NXT UK Episode 3. We're still in Cambridge, we're still in the lovely, lovely Corner Exchange, and to kick off this show, WWE gave us Trent Seven versus Saxon Huxley, and it's a shame Travis isn't here for this one, because I know he's got a particular problem with Saxon Huxley. It's not his look that I'm aware of, it's his nickname, the Muscle Cat. I remember Travis berating this when he appeared at the inaugural tournament in Blackpool. Quite right too, it's a stupid name. It's a stupid name, it's a really dumb little gimmick, and everything about Saxon Huxley screams enhancement talent. I feel the same way about Saxon Huxley now, after 21 months, that I did about Ashton Smith when I saw him qualify for the second annual tournament. His ring gear, it's a sickly yellow and black leopard print that just screams 1989 Jimmy Snuka. He's got that berserker stoop. He's a very, very odd looking person. He's not going to make it in NXT UK. He's going to be complete enhancement talent. And quite right too. On the other side of the fence, you've got Trent Seven, who has that missing something that Tyler Bate's looking for. If you rewind a few seconds, you'll have heard me at the end of part 2 talk about Tyler Bate missing something and how he needs to discover, or at least rediscover, something to make it big. For me, Trent Seven has that. I warmed to him instantly, if you like. It's an instant that as soon as Trent Seven steps out onto the stage, I warm to him. He's got that personality, that character, that aura that just makes you want to give him a big old hug. Tyler Bate doesn't have that. At least for me, he might for you. That's perfectly fine. It takes me a while to warm to Tyler Bate, where it doesn't Trent Seven. I feel like Trent, he's familiar, he's comfy, he's cosy. He's like that jumper you put on at Christmas and just snuggle into. And I think he's the Tommy Dreamer of NXT UK, in that he'll get there in the end, but just not yet. Is Trent Seven WWE United Kingdom champion material? Probably. But again, he's facing the Pete Dunne hurdle, and Triple H wants to make Pete Dunne a global star. And quite right too. He's, for me, the greatest wrestler in the world today. And I know at least one person who is going to argue with me on that, but do you know what? Life's a bitch. This match was nothing special. It was everything you'd expect from an opener. Trent Seven sold for Saxon Huxley. Never did you believe that Huxley was ever going to win this. Like, if they're going to put Saxon Huxley over Trent Seven, there's a problem. There's a real problem. Luckily, that didn't happen. 7 won with the Burning Hammer. Formulaic match. That's what I'd call this. Nothing more, nothing less. Next up, we had Flash Morgan Webster versus Mark Coffey. Now, I've got a problem, surprise, surprise, with Mark Coffey. In a tag team with his brother, Joe, he looks good. The Coffey brothers are a good team. We'll see that over the next few weeks. Those of us who've seen them, prior to this, already know it. Yet in singles competition, Mark Coffey looks inept. He looks slow. and I don't know why. He's built like a brick shithouse. So is his brother. And they look fearsome together. When they're standing there with their arms crossed, they look fearsome. You don't want to fuck with them. But on his own, I'm just not sure. I'm just not sure about Mark Coffey as a singles wrestler. There's something that doesn't sit well about him with me. Flash Morgan Webster, on the other hand, the whole Austin Powers / John Lennon gimmick, it works. It just does. You can't say why it works. It's just one of them things that it looks good, it sounds good. You want to be a fan of it. But I just can't get past his face. When he takes those glasses off, he looks like the bastard son of Trevor Murdoch. I cannot get past that. Every time I look at him, all I think about is Trevor Murdoch. And that's not normal. At 32 years old, I shouldn't be having flashbacks to Trevor Murdoch and Lance Cade. Look him up on Google if you've never seen him. Honestly, he looks like a fatter, older Flash Morgan Webster. And it's odd. It's odd. No one should be cursed with them looks. This match was born out of the Coffey brothers attacking Mark Andrews on the inaugural NXT UK episode. And we will see more of it. We'll see more of this storyline as it comes to pass. Others will be involved. Wolfgang will be involved. Travis Banks will be involved for a very short while. And so will Ashton Smith. This, and you could say this is the first real proper storyline in NXT UK history. It's the first one that's going to run. And I'm okay with it. Just like I was okay with this match. It was very good. Fast beginning. Morgan Webster wins with a very nice crucifix. It looked a bit clunky in parts, thanks to Mark Coffey. But what do you expect? He's a tag team wrestler. If you ever split the Dudley Boys up, if you remember when they drafted them to Raw and SmackDown, I don't remember ever liking either of them as single stars. So if you take a tag team specialist, drop them into a singles role, even if it's just for a night, this is what you can expect. Coffey's naturally attacked Morgan Webster after the match, saved by Mark Andrews and Travis Banks, quite predictably. It's interesting because Travis Banks was injured at the time of recording this, hence the injury angle backstage to write him off of television for a while. He is back now. He returned at the Plymouth tapings at the beginning of October. And if you're looking for a natural successor to Pete Dunne, then Travis Banks would probably be next in line after Zach Gibson. I would definitely put Travis Banks in the top 5 of stars that will make it in NXT. It's just going to take him, like everyone else, a little while because Pete Dunne's so popular. After this, we had a little vignette, a little fashion vignette for Ginny. We were meant to see Ginny at the second annual tournament. She was meant to be in the 4-way match with Toni Storm, with Isla Dawn, and Killer Kelly, I believe I'm right in saying. Had to rack my brains then to think of that. Should have researched it. Would have took 2 minutes. I didn't bother. She was injured before the match went on. They had to take her out of the match. They had to edit the match to look like it was just the 3 of the others. This was an interesting little vignette. Didn't last long. Filmed in a fashion magazine shoot way. And yeah, we'll have to just wait and see with Ginny. If you've seen her on the indies, then you'll know she's capable of many things. So I hope they give her the chance to exhibit that, because right now, 3 episodes in, the women haven't really got a chance to shine. But when the NXT UK Women's Championship Tournament kicks off, it's going to be a good 2 or 3 weeks of them. So they'll get their stage, they'll get their opportunity. Next up was I'm going to say it was my match of the night, just because I'm a biased prick. It was Danny Burch versus Sam Gradwell. As you heard, we had a Danny Burch promo. We had one before this actually, but we had one on the second episode of NXT UK. Sam Gradwell, my God, he's obviously modelled himself on Sheamus. He looks like a very young Sheamus with the way he's styled his hair. He got the "you look stupid" chance as well, but this was Danny Burch's night. Massive ovation for Danny Burch. And for me, he's one of the most underrated wrestlers in the world today. There's no grey area on that. I've been singing his praises for so long, probably too long. I just love the bloke. I love Danny Burch almost as much as I love Pete Dunne. Is there something wrong with me? I feel like I'm 32 years old and I'm loving big, burly, bold men more and more. I probably need to get that looked at. Anyway, I think Danny Burch could easily be the man in NXT UK down the line. People love him. He's got the likability factor. When Pete Dunne shuffles off the title reign, which he will inevitably do in 2019, just not too soon in 2019, please, Hunter. There's going to be a massive gap opening, and I think Danny Burch could be the man to fill that. I'd like to see him and Oney Lorcan compete for the NXT UK Tag Team Championships. Why not? If Dakota Kai, who is from New Zealand, is competing for the NXT UK Women's Championship, I see no problem with Oney Lorcan coming over to assist Danny Burch in the quest for gold there. This was a really physical and hard-hitting match. There were punches, stiff shots, headbutts. It really felt like after hours, after the pub had closed, down an alley in London. The typical thing you'd see when everyone's off their face, smacked off their tits. Just shot after shot after shot. And watching it, I began to feel it. I began to feel the pain they were in. Burch wins with a draping DDT. Really good, solid match. And if you're looking for something that is different to your usual high-flying, no-selling extravaganza, then this is it. There was very, very little of that dressing up here. It was just shot after shot. Who's going to go down first? Very, very good. Loved it. After the match, the Blue Peter prick comes out again, interviews Danny Burch. He's such an annoying fucker. He is, and you can tell he doesn't know anything about wrestling at all. It's like, we could do that job. Anyone listening to this right now could do his job. Offer it to me. I'd do that job. Anyway, Burch relieves him of the microphone, thank God. And the promo that follows is just a brilliant promo. He says that the UK will always be his home. It's impassioned. He talks about travelling the world, representing British wrestling for 15 years. And the crowd are electric for it. They eat it up. Every word he says, they take it on board. They respond to it. And then Danny Burch says it's not about respect anymore, but he wants Pete Dunne's attention. And then he adds a nice bit on the end where he says that he was British strong style before Pete Dunne was in nappers. That was really nice. I loved that. No match is announced straight away, and no real challenge is thrown down yet. But he walks away telling Pete Dunne that he'll be in the corner of the locker room saying, "Come and have a go if you think you're hard enough," which is a typical British saying over here when you're challenging someone to a fight. That match will be next week, I believe. If I've got it right. I could have got it hideously wrong, who knows. And I can't wait. I'm pretty sure that's going to be my standout match of the year so far. Because like I said, I'm a biased little prick. The main event of this show was Noam Dar versus Zach Gibson. This came out of the altercation the pair had on the second episode. And it's hard to describe this match because it was really, really good. Yet, in a way that you can't really describe. Like, it was slow. And it was methodical. And that's why it was so good. It wasn't just, I'll hit you, you hit me, I'll fly off the rope, you fly off the rope, I'll counter, you counter, and all that. It was really physical, it was taxing, and it was just really good. And I know I've said that way too much over this podcast, but it was. It was a very, very good main event. And I think Zach Gibson has now cemented, his place as Pete Dunne's replacement, sadly. The fans in this match, the audience, the crowd, were wonderful. The chants, if you hate Gibson, shoes off, people holding up their shoes, singing the Darth Vader tune using Noam Dar's name. Da 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 da, just wonderful. It was a good technical match. Arm bars, leg locks, really nice flying kick from the ramp by Noam Dar to the knee of Zach Gibson. Enjoyed that immensely. It was really nice to watch, as was Gibson's power bomb onto the ramp. And the only little gripe I've got with it is the annoying little thing which seems to be commonplace in wrestling now, where somebody seems so injured they can't get up. They're broken in half, the night's done for them, the referee's about to count them out, and then they just fucking leap back to their feet like John Cena would in 2007, 8, 9, 10, pick your year, and just roll into the ring. It's like that kills the believability for me. Noam Dar did it here. I can probably overlook that because of the quality of the match. But just cut it out. Just either find a more realistic way of doing that, or just cut it out completely, because it can kill believability. Noam Dar's comeback was inspirational. Again, I've mentioned the underdog thing way too often tonight. Probably more often than you ever wanted to hear, and you never want to hear it again. But he really did look like a solid underdog in this. I thought Zach Gibson could have sold the knee a bit more after it was like a coup de grace to the knee. I don't think Gibson sold it enough when Dar put him in the leg bar or the ankle lock. That was a tiny bit disappointing. The end comes when Dar misses a second stomp and Gibson cracks him with the Helter Skelter for the victory. Really good match. Another solid episode. Despite what people are saying about it being just a hodgepodge of matches, I think it's going from strength to strength. It's going to get better. I think it's going to eventually exceed the original NXT. And I'm genuinely excited about where this brand is going. That's not all, though. Usually we'd sign off now. We'd probably rate the show. For me, if we're going to do that, it'd be an A across the board. We'd sign off usually by telling you where you can find us again. But I'm not going to do that tonight. Instead, we're going to end this in a different way. Because this is our 20th episode, so it is a celebration of sorts. And I'd just like to say a few things that I've been waiting to say for a while now. If you'll just indulge me for a few minutes more. I know I've been talking a lot, and my voice isn't one you really want to listen to in a big train of bullshit dialogue. But I just want to say a couple of things, because this show does mean a lot. We may be slam pigs, if you like. We might be overtly critical, and sometimes rightly so, about the current product. We're sometimes coarse, we're sometimes offensive, but in the end, that's why you love us. But even we know, and when I say we, I mean me and Travis, we know when we've been extraordinarily lucky. We've said it before, several times in fact, but this time it isn't just a thank you. It's more than that in a way. It's hard to explain, but you wonderful people have made this possible for us for over a year now. When Travis and I started, we didn't care if no one listened. All we wanted to do was talk about wrestling and escape reality, and that's what Union Smack was for us. Just a way to talk about a different side of professional wrestling, a British side of professional wrestling, and just escape what we had going on in our normal lives. And I guess that's why most people do podcasts, but for us it was especially important because it just let us get away. And when we began, it was like we thought we'd be lucky if 20 people listened. You know, there was no way we could know that over a year later we'd hit close to 400 viewers each week. That was just insane to us, and it still is. Every time I look at the numbers, we're like 300, 350 sometimes. And the response to this podcast, it's been out of this world. And I think, and I know I speak for me, and I probably speak for Travis as well when I say it's exceeded both of our expectations. And it's become a massive part of my life. And it might sound sad or pathetic or whatever you want to class it as, but I do regard this as my baby, my project. It's something that I can look back and be eminently proud of in years' time, even if I accomplish nothing else in my life. And through everything, the show's endured. The show's been a survivor. It's endured, and so have you, along with it. You know, things happened in our personal lives. Travis and I parted ways for 9 months, and the show fell into wilderness. It wasn't around, it wasn't on air anywhere, and you know, there was a time when it looked like we'd never be back. But when differences were reconciled and we did return, you were still there waiting for us. Some of you literally. And you never went away. You never gave up on us. And for that, we really are eternally grateful. And personally, this podcast and professional wrestling in general, it's given me more than the platform to vent and bitch and be sometimes a complete twat about the business. It's given me friendship. And a friendship and friends that would otherwise not have existed. And obviously none more so than my co-host Travis. You know, words cannot express what a good man and a good friend he is. And whether you all know it or not, there have been more people involved in giving life to this podcast than just the two of us. And I'd just like to say a quick thank you to them now, because it's only right. 20 episodes in, it's a landmark. You'll have heard us mention Rocky on several shows, several times. You know, he's becoming a bit of a legend on this show. Most people know him on Twitter. He's a wonderful guy. No one really knows how instrumental Rocky has been in the creation of the show. I knew Rocky before I knew anyone else. Before I knew Travis, before I knew Logan, before I knew anyone. And he was the one who suggested that Travis and I get together. He put us together, and out of that little seed came Union Smack. So he's really the brains behind the partnership, the Bobby Heenan of the show, if you will. And I can't thank him enough. You know, without Rocky, there is no Union Smack, period. And without Logan Myers, you would not be listening to me talk right now. Union Smack was off the air for 9 months, like I said. Travis and I went our separate ways, and I had no intention of returning to social media or podcasting at all, ever. As far as I was concerned, I was done with it all. And then one day, out of the blue, Logan contacted me and asked me to come back to Twitter, asked me to rejoin, to settle differences. He extended the olive branch. He got me and Travis back together, and here we are today. So without Logan, this show, at least in the form it is now, would not exist. And the last people I want to thank are you, of course. All of you listening to this show right now, all and any of you who have followed us since day one, who have just discovered us, have supported us, backed us, promoted us in your shows, bought our t-shirts, waited for the best part of a year and never waned. And if he was here now, I know Travis he'd say it himself. But on behalf of us both, and in the words of Ric Flair, with a tear in my eye, thank you so much. So here's to another 20 episodes, and 20 more after that, and another 20 years if I have my way. To Rocky, and to Logan, and to Travis, and to all of you wonderful people, thank you very much. We are Union Smack, and until next week, in the words of the man himself, cheerio, mates.